Hey, can you hear me?
Hey Dan, I can hear you.
Hey, how's it going?
Good, how are you? God, your
Uh,
background looks cool. It looks like one of those like video game like guys that like, is like doing the whole background thing. That's awesome.
it's actually a complete mess behind me because I'm like reorganizing again my workspace in this small apartment. So,
Gotcha.
and I'm trying to readjust of not looking low because my camera is like way up here because I have a huge ultra wide monitor, like a
Bet,
gaming monitor.
I'll bet you do.
And then like this is at my feet. It's my wheel.
Yeah, I got the same wheel at home.
I gotta
I
fix
think,
the pedals. I'm getting some weird stickiness going on.
right.
So I have to resolder something. So that's the problem with the Logitech wheels. That the pedals are just not that good.
Cool. Hey,
So
I'm gonna test real quick if I can like share a screen here.
sure.
I'm just not the greatest like Zoom guy in the world. What the huh? Can't find. Oh, shit. Just close. I got so much crap open. Oops. Let's see this again. Share screen. All right. So can you see like the monitor, like the map?
It
Whoops.
says you started screen sharing, but I don't see any screen. Oh, there we go. I don't see a map.
Oh, there it goes.
It's a little lag. It's all black.
Oh, great.
um,
Yeah, mine keeps like blinking.
oh, there we go.
Okay. Stop you. All right.
Took a while.
All right. I know how to do that. Excellent.
Yeah, you probably give it like a couple, like a minute. You know,
Yeah, I don't know if we'll go through it or not. I mean, it depends. Like, I don't know. I don't know what where people are going to be at with this. But it seems like a good group. I mean, it's going to be a lot. I can't wait. I just cannot wait.
I know. The last trip I did was the Empire State Trail. The 10-day one I did. I did a loop of it.
Did you do the one to Canada? That one?
No, I went to Rochester to visit
Yeah.
my parents
Yeah.
over the summer. Because that was the best way to see them during COVID times.
Right.
During
Right.
COVID.
Right.
But then I rode back. But the worst idea was cutting through the Catskills.
Oh, you
Uh,
like cut off the angle there. Like you went like
I
horizontal.
thought, yeah, I went towards Syracuse that way, and but I had to go through like 3 or 4 mountain passes in a day, and that just
Oh
killed
gosh.
me. Yeah, I was fully loaded too. This year, I over the winter, I definitely like trimmed it all down on the bike of gear wise, and I'm doing no panniers this year for the first time, so I
Oh
can't wait for
really?
that. Yeah.
Cool.
Um,
Trying to make it so like there's some glaring lights. Like it's hard to see. I guess I have to
let me lower.
shift them in the video. Oh, there's somebody else. How are you?
Oh, hi.
Hey Blaze, how are you? I think I
Oh,
just
hey, how you doing? Sorry, I realized I was on mute. Sorry.
okay, yeah, I'm not a big Zoom person. I missed the whole corporate culture thing of Zoom last
Yeah,
year.
me
So
too. Sorry about that.
not good. It's a good thing, I think.
How you doing?
Doing good. I can't wait to get this started. Get
Oh,
this trip
yeah,
started. Um,
exciting.
yeah, so there should be a number of people going on this. Let's see if we record this. Record. Oh, it is recording. That's cool. Um, just looking at all speaker view. What is that? That's me. Exit full screen. I'm just like playing around with some of these things because I just don't know
Yeah.
how they work. All right. Let me go lock my front door so no one comes in. So Blaze, also on this call is Daniel Arena, who's been as a veteran of many trips.
Hi, Daniel. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Yeah, the nice part about these trips is that it's usually about like 40 to 50% kind of regulars and then new folks. So it's a nice mix of people that kind of have been there before and have done this before versus, there's a lot of new folks too, and that's always a lot of fun. So these trips are always a real nice mix of that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and the first trips that I did, I think because I didn't let anyone know that I was just launching them, and I did, and there was such a demand that a lot of like the regulars, didn't get on the first trip, and we have to limit it in terms of size for safety and we can't have 50 people doing this, so kind of cut off a lot of folks.
I do like the idea of doing the weekday one, especially because everyone's a lot of people have more flexible work hours now more than ever. So
we did that one it's June, I think 14th and 15th, and it sold out in like 4 minutes. It's like,
I know, I saw that. I was like, I couldn't get that one either.
There's a demand, obviously a demand, and for me it's great because if I'm doing a micro tour, I'm closing the shop for the weekend. I can't. My wife is not someone that should be working in a bike shop, so we just close it. And but if I do it on Mondays and Tuesdays, we're closed on Monday, so it mitigates my not being in the shop. But whatever.
Are you planning on doing like a longer tour, like a regular tour?
Yeah, we can do the Catskills in the fall again.
Okay.
I'm actually just starting to plan that right now. We're not going to do the Adirondacks this summer. It's just too much. Without the whole staff and everything, like the infrastructure of the shop is different. I can't, we can't have a zillion people going off on an Adirondack trip for a week.
Yeah.
All right. Hey, Heather.
Hi.
Cool. Hey, Andre.
Hi guys, how are you?
Good seeing you.
Yeah.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Is the dog coming on the trip?
Yeah.
Excellent.
Should be flat enough.
Andre, how much does she weigh?
125.
So Andre is trailing a dog that weighs 125 pounds with him. Hey, of course someone's banging on my door. Hang on a second. What's up? We're actually closed. It's 7 o'clock because we're having a meeting right now. So all right. Right. 718, this is Joe. Hello? Yes, hello. Yes.
bless you.
Oh, Marin? Yeah, it depends what you, we're actually closed right now and I'm actually in the middle of a meeting. If you could email me exactly the model you're looking for or give me a call tomorrow, I can definitely help you. Please. Thank you. All right, bye. Right. Okay, that'd be great. Oh, right. What did it get stolen? Oh. Yeah. I'm just in the middle of something. Just give me a call tomorrow and we'll talk. All right, man. Thank you. All right, bye. Jesus Christ. Modern retail. All right, we have a lot of folks on. We're gonna get started pretty soon. All right, so it's just 7 right now. Maybe we give it another 2 or 3 minutes and we'll just get going. A few people said they couldn't make it. This is being recorded. I'm not sure how much incredible information will be on this, but we'll talk. This is great because we used to do these in the shop and it was hard for people to get to the shop, and I think doing this is a nice way to do it. I will say that I'm not, I missed the whole Zoom kind of corporate culture thing, so I'm not, incredibly facile as a Zoom kind of administrator, so I'll do my best. Mr. Duffy, how are you?
Good to see you. Glad to be here.
Yes.
You're doing great.
Okay. I'm going to attempt to share a screen too, so this is a big moment. Big moment for me. All right. See a lot of people drinking. That's good. All right, it's about 5 after 7, so let's get started. I'm assuming everyone can hear me. I mean, it's hard to say those kinds of things, but yeah, okay, great. So what I'll do is I'll just kind of go over some of the big kind of 10,000 foot issues around the trip and things to kind of look out for. I'm not gonna like read off lists and kind of like bore everyone to death. And then we can talk about what might concern you, because I'll talk about what concerns me. And then if you have questions and things like that, we can discuss. All right, so my name is Joe. I keep looking over my shoulder because I think someone's at the door, so I'm gonna stop looking over my shoulder. I'm the owner 718. We've done a ton of these trips. I'd say we did 7 or 8 of these trips every year since 2015 or 16, and we didn't do any last year, so incredibly excited to get going again. The trip is gonna leave 7 a.m. on the 17th of April from Lower Manhattan. It's Hudson River Greenway and Chambers Street. So we really, and I will say that like we really need to be leaving at 7 o'clock and pushing off. This isn't showing up at 7 and kind of getting your stuff together. It's a longer trip. It's 60 miles or 59 miles, and the way I always think about it is, we're trying to do a 10-mile-an-hour pace. And again, that's not like set in stone. That's just like a rough kind of average. And imagining the stops that we do, it's like an 8-hour day in the saddle, right? So if we're leaving at 7, we're hopefully getting there around 3 or 4. And that, it gives us a decent amount of time to kind of actually get to camp and enjoy camp. We've had trips where we've been delayed for all kinds of reasons, and you get to camp
Hey.
late, or it's
Hey,
dark,
PP.
or it's
Hey,
raining.
it's John.
Hey, John. Or it's raining, and that's no fun, right? So the sooner we get there, the better. And the way the ride is going to be structured is that, certainly we're not going to be on top of each other. Certainly we want to kind of spread out for COVID reasons. I'll be in the front or towards the front. I'm not the fastest cyclist in the world. I don't need to win. I don't need to be in front. If people know where they're going, that's great. Colin, who is a former employee who I don't think is on the Zoom call, maybe he is, maybe he's not. No, he's not. We'll be bringing up the rear as what's called the sweep, meaning that no one gets behind him, and me and him are communicating constantly about progress and things that might happen. Things that happen include flat tires, people's bags falling off their bike, more flat tires, things like that. And, what we ask is that, we're not expecting you to know how to change a flat or to do these things. We're certainly there to help. But if you can bring a tube with you, that's great, because for us to bring tubes is kind of a challenge. So just kind of bring a tube relative to the size of your bike would be really, really helpful. To kind of round out the idea about the ride, we have posted a map, and there's cue sheets. I did post that little, that Chuck E. Cheese map of like, where to go. It's take it with you. I will stress that a lot of the things that can go awry on these trips invariably are because people don't know where they're going. Now, it's hard to have everyone and have a guide for every single person that's on the trip, but just get familiar with the map. I mean, it isn't like, study it and do all kinds of stuff, but just get roughly familiar with it. I've people go on this trip and they have no idea, and they're like, oh, my friend knows where we're going. And I always tell people, like, assume that you're lost and you can't get cell phone service, or your battery in your phone has died. So, print out a map, print out those cue sheets, and just have them with you as a hard copy too. I always have hard copies, even though I know exactly where we're going. I always like to have hard copies. And I'm not trying to sound like a worrywart. I'm just thinking through all the things that have gone wrong. And a lot of them have been because of people kind of veering left instead of right type of thing. And the final piece of that is, what's slightly stressing me out is that there's potentially construction on what's called the South County Trailway. And that's the chunk of the trip from about mile 15 to about mile 28. It's unclear when and where this construction is going to happen. We have phone numbers of people to call if during the week, next week. And I'm also going up there on Monday. I'm going to drive up with my car to Van Cortlandt Park, get on my bike, and just head north and really just do our route. We're all in the danger zone, and just kind of see if there's any issues that we have to reroute around, because there are some potential scenarios that would be kind of a pain in the ass. The nice thing about the South County Trailway is that you're on it and you can't get lost. Like you're going to hit the diner or the deli for lunch. If you just kept going, you would ride into the side of it. Like you can't miss it. So those are good things about directions and groups and stuff. So hopefully that'll be fine. This is a trip early enough in the year. It doesn't seem like they're getting the construction going that soon. So I'm going to report back to the group after Monday. There's also going to be a minor change in the routing when we get into Katona. And I'm going to work with John Mayer, who is has lived up there for a long time. And the part of the trip I'm describing is kind of late in the game, where we stop to get food before the campsite, around mile 48, 50. We're just kind of taking a new route. We're getting off of a real semi-dangerous kind of fast-moving roadway and going through a town of Katona, and that's where we're going to get food for dinner and breakfast or whatever. But that's an area I haven't done, so I'm going to work with John, and there may be a slight change to the map that I've posted, I'll let everyone know if that's, if that is the case. So that's kind of the trip, it's amazing. I can't wait. I can't wait to do the trip. I can't wait to get out and start doing these things again. It's so much fun. And I think about at least a third of the people on this trip have done this trip or trips with us before. So there's a lot of like people that you can kind of hang around with in terms of like where to go and how to get this done. It's a very communal thing. It's not an insular thing, but with COVID, it can't be, people drafting each other and that kind of thing. So we'll have to figure out what everyone's comfortable with. So any questions on the ride? And I will, everyone says everything at once. I don't know how to handle it, but are there any questions about the specifics of the mechanics of the ride?
Do you know how long, I just unmuted myself for a quick second. Do you know how
Yeah.
long, oh, it's John Marr. Hey, Joe, how are you?
Hey, good.
Do you know how long the stop will be for lunch? I'm not sure if I missed that.
Yeah, it's usually a half hour,
Okay,
and
and that's Elmsford?
yeah, and that's Elmsford. And what happens with Elmsford is that, and that's mile 28, because people roll in, it's like a staggered kind of roll in. Like everyone's not going to hit Elmsford at the same time. It's going to be within 20 to 30 minutes. So that lead group is going to, stop, and, there's a big public little courtyard there. So we'll try to capture, the group that's gotten there first. We'll see if we're going to hold that group so we all leave there together, or depending on how far back Colin is with the trailing group, we might just let the lead group go, that kind of thing. So
Gotcha.
we've done it both ways from Elmsford. We've done it where we kind of gather everyone. And the problem is the last groups that come in, if you're starting to leave already, right when people are showing up, they can't get a break. And so we're trying to kind of stagger that. But if we're all kind of roughly together by mile 28, we should kind of be hitting there within about 10 to 20 minutes of each other, and then hopefully leaving,
Gotcha.
leave together as a group. But if we don't leave together, that's fine too. In addition to that stopping point, the next stopping point is the railroad bridge, which is the reservoir bridge, which is mile 42. And that's a real good place to kind of really gather everyone up. And that's it's a nice view, but it's a really nice way to kind of really gather everyone for the final kind of push, and to, do a head count and kind of figure out who might be missing or who might be, where these groups are. So that's a big stopping point to kind of like organize.
Cool. I mean, I could also just let you know, like we were discussing Katona a bit,
Yeah.
the food options there.
Yeah.
In the village, there's like a deli and like a kind of a fancy meat market that does sell, I'm sure they sell hot dogs and hamburgers, but it's more of like a Dean and DeLuca kind of a thing. It's more like, prime ribs and shit like that is really their clientele, but there is stuff. It's called Scaglio's.
Scaglio's, okay.
Yeah, and there used to be a deli. I haven't been there in a few years now, but there was also a deli.
Okay.
But then it's just like a mile through town, or less even, to the supermarket. I think it's to Chico's or something.
Yeah, and that's what I kind of had planned, like around that. And we can talk offline about, like, I do want to get your expert opinion, and maybe you can draw up a map for me like you did, and we can just nail it. But
Right.
yeah, so we need to probably talk offline about that.
Cool, we could do that. Yep.
Can roll by. Any other questions about the ride? About your bike? And 10 miles an hour, I also call it a this is what Alfred used to call it, is a conversation pace, meaning that it's a pace where you can ride and talk to someone. So that's the way I kind of gauge what 10 miles an hour kind of is. So moving on from the ride, now we're at the campsite. The campsite is no alcohol, and I'll just say that with a straight face, and I'll just say that, and take that for what it is. And next, I'll move on. We are staying at a new campsite with them. There's a new group campsite, which I'm kind of, as excited as you can get about a campsite. But it seems like it's a pretty cool setup. It's generally, there's like a bathroom building there, like an actual structure. And I posted on Slack that we were communicating with the park, and they think it's going to be open by that time, but they're not sure. There is water at the main office. There are going to be porta potties if the bathroom building isn't working. So it's, you know, all things considered, it's a site that has decent, if not better, facilities. Campfire, you know, firewood, you know, if we get there before like 4:30, we can buy it from the office. So that might be one of the things that if there is a leading group or a group that's kind of like breaking away, maybe, you know, we might slip them $50 to get campfire. You know, there's another thought about food. You know, what I always like to do is like maybe about 5 miles before the campsite is find a place where we can get our food and then bring it to the campsite. So you're not riding around with it all day. John brought up an option where we could ride to the campsite and people can head back out to the supermarket. And I will say that on shorter trips, like trips to Croton, that's very doable and it's easy. On a trip like this, I'm not sure if people are going to want to like get to camp, unload their stuff, and then ride back out to a supermarket. So that's going to be entirely up to you all, you know. That's entirely up to the group, you know, whatever you want to do to put food in your stomach. If that works for you, then great. If not, that's fine too. I will say there's going to be more food than you can imagine, and people bring so much stuff, it's ridiculous, which is great. So that's the campsite thing and the campfire thing, or the campsite thing. The next day, which is Sunday, you know, always presents a little bit of a challenge in terms of getting back as a group, right? Because, you know, certainly we're all kind of riding up as a big group together. The next day, you're kind of dealing with a lot of issues. People waking up late, people that like are morning people that are not morning people that want to sleep in. So what we're going to do this year is there's going to be, you know, an earlier group that leaves, and I'll probably be in the earlier group. I'm a morning kind of person. And then a later group led by Colin that leaves. So the night before, you know, at the campsite and campfire and all that stuff, we try to get everyone to have an understanding about what their plan is the next day, to have a plan and not just go to bed like, oh, I'll just wake up whenever and hope to get back. So, you know, we'll try to make a plan on Saturday night, like who's going with who, just so it's organized as we leave. You know, I've been on trips where people stayed at the campsite till noon because they want to stay and like fuck around all day. And that's fine too. But there are a lot of people that want to get back to the city for whatever reason. So we'll talk about that. But, you know, coming back is always a little bit of a negotiation that we have to figure out how we're going to do it. But there's also a train right there. I will say that I've been known to take the train now and again over the years. We've done this trip a bunch of times. I'm not planning on taking the train this time, but there's a train right there and it's super easy. And that's entirely, there's no shame. It's entirely up to whoever wants to take a train. It's at Katona is the train station. Well, yeah, it's the closest one. I had a little list here. So I have ride, campsite, food, water, and bathrooms. I think I covered all of it. I created a COVID kind of safety document, and I do want to talk about this real briefly. A couple days ago, using the CDC kind of guidelines as like a way to create a document. And I'm going to send it out to you guys tomorrow to have a look. It's not incredibly onerous. It talks about things about, you know, wearing masks at our stop, wearing masks at the campsite, social distancing at the campsite. Riding, you know, certainly if you can wear a mask while you're riding, that's great. It's not mandatory, and I'm not the police, right? So I've been trying to do rides lately with a mask on to see, you know, what your air intake is and stuff, and it seems like it's all right, but that's entirely up to you as a rider, because it does, you know, if you're pulling a heavy bike and you got something over your mouth, that's a challenge. So I'll send out this document tomorrow, and you guys can review it. And what I always tell people is that if you look at this document and feel that it doesn't align with what your beliefs are on the COVID virus, you know, we'll just give you a refund. Like, I don't want anyone to feel uncomfortable or to feel like they're in danger or to feel unsafe. And if you have any of those feelings, and they're all very valid, just let me know and we'll give you a refund. It's no problem at all. But we have to talk about that in this new world. Does anyone have any questions about that or issues about that? What I will also have with me is like a kind of a safety kit with gloves and hand sanitizer and soap and rubbing alcohol and all those things. I'm going to make a pack for myself to bring to be able to share as needed. And that's, you know, and the rest is going to be in this document. Again, I don't want to go through it. I don't want to make this a bullet point reading. This is more about just discussions. Any questions about that at all? Yeah, and I'm not like checking your vaccine status or if you're tested, whatever. You know, we're all adults, and I think we all have to be, take care of ourselves and be safe. I'm trying to think what else. And I was thinking of like what, you know, things about packing. Right, I get a lot of questions about gear, what to bring. On our website we have a thing that there was a in the 1930s this group in Seattle this outdoorsy group came up with this idea of what's called the 10 essentials. And basically it just goes through 10 different categories of stuff, from fire starting to navigation to shelter. And I think it's a great way to organize your packing concept. So that's on our website. I've also have a bunch of packing lists that I've done in the past. That's on our website. I've weighed everything. I'm not a weight person. I don't care what things weigh, but people do. So I weighed everything. I don't have one now, but people care about that stuff. Great. There it is. One theory is that, it's better to be looking at something than looking for it, meaning that, that kind of tends to maybe suggest that you pack that extra thing that you're thinking about if you can bring it. But I'll tell you this, the group is going to have like everything that you could possibly need. Like, do you want to start a fire? Well, here's 15 ways to start a fire. Do you want a extra blanket or an extra puffy coat? There's tons of stuff, but just, let me know about gear questions you might have. You let me know about bike gear questions you might have, how are you going to strap things to a bike? I can help with those kinds of things. And everyone should be kind of like getting in the swing of things and doing, I've been trying to do like, 6 to 10 miles a day in the morning in Prospect Park with a bike kind of fully loaded just to get into the swing of things. So, not that you have to do this huge training regimen for this trip, but everyone should kind of be, familiar or, kind of worked out some of the kinks already. But if you're new to kind of camping and new to kind of packing and gears, I would set up your tent in your living room a couple times first before you pack it, just to get used to it. It sucks if it's raining and you're trying to do this in the dark. So that's just a piece of advice. It looks like the weather's going to be in the mid 60s as a high and in the high 40s for a low overnight. So, I saw a low of 47. That's pretty warm in my opinion for this time of year up there. So, kind of, pack accordingly, I guess is the best way to describe it. And what I also will say, like some of the greatest hits, like some of the things you see on all the micro tours are those like puffy jackets, those LL Bean kind of puffy jackets. They're for the warmth that you get, a really good thing to pack. Pack some kind of pillow if you're new to kind of camping and you think like, oh, I have a sleeping bag, it's great. But to think about sleeping without a pillow and your neck is kind of like crooked the next morning if you wake up and trying to ride with your neck all messed up. So think about what your pillow option might be. And that's like a little detail, but it could be just rolled up clothes, something. But think about that. The thing about having your bike looked at, we used to in the old shop kind of go over people's bikes, but it's kind of a logistics and also kind of a responsibility nightmare for us to kind of go over your bike and say your bike looks great, and then something happens and now we're like fucked. So we kind of absolve ourselves of that. But what I will say is that I see people laughing, but they're muted, so it's really funny to see people laughing muted. I will say just get your bike checked out, or if you're a person that's checking out your own bike, just kind of make sure everything is kind of in working order is the best way to describe it. I mean, flat tires are going to happen. I can guarantee it. We haven't had a trip without one. But things that kind of also happen are like racks fall off people's bikes because they're, loading them up more than they've ever have. So, make sure all those things are secure, on your bike. I'm trying to think what else. It's rain or shine. I'm just going through my head real quick. I had an agenda and I kind of got through it already. So I'll open the floor up to anyone here who has any thoughts about or any questions about this trip. So no, I don't see any questions. So that my documentation must be great. Check the Slack channel has been awesome. I'm really psyched about that. I kind of missed. I got out of the corporate world in like 2015, so I kind of missed a whole chunk of Zoom and Slack, and so I'm kind of reusing, like learning how to use these things again. but Slack seems really good for this kind of purpose. I will also have a list of everyone's name and phone number that I'll send out. And certainly I'm very cautious about people's contact information. But in the end, the safety of everyone having everyone else's phone number to me is more important than, kind of protecting people's identities on the trip. So, but if you do have an issue with that, let me know. But, the more people that have everyone's phone number on this trip, the better, believe me, the better. Using your phone, using your phone as a GPS device is pretty draining on the battery. So if you're going to do that, think about like a battery backup or a way to kind of charge your phone, because using like a Garmin device or a Wahoo or any of these kinds of other devices as a GPS device, they're a lot more efficient. That's what they do. When you use your phone as an all-day GPS device over 8 hours or 6 hours, it really drains the battery. So if you're going to go that route, just consider like what you're going to do if your phone dies, like have an extra battery or a way to charge things. That being said, I don't know if I have anything else. Does anyone here have anything else?
Well, I was just curious about other meet points, like for uptown. Because I didn't want to like, join in like when nobody else was, or kind of to consolidate things. I saw Van Cortlandt Park. Is that going to be another meet section, or?
Yeah. So a great question. So, the starting at Chambers Street is good for a lot of people, but it's not good for everybody. So invariably, we'll meet people along the way. And what I do ask, if you are going to do that, just reach out to me separately as an email. Say, hey, Joe, I'm going to meet you at Dykeman Street. Or I'm going to meet you at Van Cortlandt Park because I live in Queens.
Mhm.
Yeah, all those things are totally fine. We don't all have to leave together. But yeah, Van Cortlandt Park is going to be a stopping point, and actually a very good a collection point, because at that point we'll still be pretty close together. I can't imagine how far apart we could be at that point. Everyone will still, from the beginning to the end, will still be very close. And at that point, we're also going to have to, if we have to have like a detour or an idea about now there's construction all of a sudden, we're going to have to talk through like how we're going to deal with that. And I'm going to come up with a couple map alternatives just in case we have to detour around construction. Now, that area of construction from mile 15 to mile 28, it's not going to be the whole thing, like the whole thing ripped apart. It's going to be some section of it, maybe. So the idea is that we could get to that section and kind of route around it is my perfect, I'm very hopeful that that's going to be the idea if we do see construction. But if we don't, and if we have to reroute the whole thing, there are backup plans that I'm working on, so.
So, Joe, 9 a.m., right? Van Cortlandt.
Yeah, I think, if it's 15 miles and we're starting at 7, quarter to 9, 9 o'clock is I think a good place to be. Again, if we're talking about, we're doing 10 miles an hour, but a lot of that trip is on the Hudson River Greenway and also through the Bronx and stuff, and we do slow down. So I don't think we would be there at 8:30 on the dot. I would think 8:30 at the earliest and 9:30 at the latest would be an idea about Van Cortlandt Park.
Okay, cool. Thanks.
Mm-hmm. And just reach out to me so I can get you on the list and know exactly where everyone is. So, and safety is really, I mean, as you can tell in the tone of my voice and all the things that I keep talking about, like it really is important that the trip is very safe. We have insurance, which is great. So any issues that come up, don't hesitate to let me know. I pay for insurance, and if we have to use it, well, we're going to use it, so, let me know about those things. Things have happened over the years where I didn't find out about it until later, and it becomes a challenge. So, I want everyone to be safe, and that's the biggest concern of mine is everyone's safety. All right. So if no one,
sorry, I think the cue sheet for the return is reversed.
Is it not a cue sheet? Is it?
It's from Manhattan up to the campsite again.
Okay, I'll take a look. Good point. That would have been great.
Thanks.
I'll review that. In addition to, talking to John about the Katona stuff, I'm probably going to end up reviewing, and I'll end up reversing that. But when there's any updates to the maps, I certainly let everyone know. And to let everyone know, Slack is great, but not everyone's on Slack, and I get it. When there are things about, like, things that everyone has to do, or like a document or a map update, I definitely use the email chain. And that's the, that's the best way to deal with it. There's one more thing I was thinking about. I forget. Yeah, that's it. So any map updates, I'll definitely let everyone know. And those files are files you can put into your phone, or you can put into a GPS device. And yeah, it works pretty well if they're not backwards. So, all right. With that said, I'm going to probably end it. I think everyone seems to be smiling and happy, and I can't wait to do this trip. And again, I can't even wait to go up on Monday just to get out and ride out of the city on Monday. But I'll let everyone know how that goes. And any questions, feel free to call, email, stop by, all those things. All right. Well,
Joe,
yeah,
I'm sorry. I just had to do one quick question. Just
Yeah.
for the map and the routing, is there a cell phone app? Because I don't have a bike GPS thing. I just use my phone.
Yeah.
Is there any one of them that's better than the other? Like I have on my phone, I think like Ride GPS and another one like.
I think they're all pretty similar. I use Ride with GPS to create the routes. I also have it on my phone as a backup. That's not to say it's the best or the worst one. I know it works. And there was a discussion on Slack about that not too long ago. But I use Ride with GPS. But again,
All right, I'll check that. I haven't used it in a while, but I'll check that.
Yeah, and there's a free version of it, so
That's what I got. Cool.
All right, guys. Any questions? Just let me know. Thanks for taking some time to tune in tonight. And I will speak to you guys all very soon, I'm sure.
Thanks, Joe.
All right, guys.
Thanks so much.
Yeah,
Bye.
appreciate it.
See you. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Thanks again.